were so burnt out, so empty. And when someone say, I don't like this, instead of responding to that person and being, practicing some humility and saying, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I wasn't aware. Because we all get in our heads. I mean, I always say to my family, I said, you know what? In another world, I would be the absent-minded professor just doing my work, because sometimes we get into our heads and we don't realize how what we say and what we do can impact others, right? And people have their own impressions of what you're saying. And so when they tell you that it's not what they expected or that it hurts them, it's your responsibility. Well, thank you for telling me that. I didn't know, and that wasn't my intention. And let's get into a healthy conversation. And so when I coached, like yesterday was a full coaching day, and clients are going through their resilience index, and they're like, yeah, I hadn't thought about that before. This is something that I know, but I really didn't give it the thought, and I didn't see how it was affecting my conversation with my boss and what I'm thinking and how I'm assuming, making assumptions based on that. And this is the connect. I love that. I love seeing people make connections for themselves, because now you're empowering them with skills and the mindset, the knowledge to make those differences. Clients will say to me, I had a leader who said to me when we first started working with him, he said, Joyce, this has opened a part of my brain that was shut, but it will never close again. So that's the thing. And I remember that, because he says, you've opened a part of my brain that will never shut again. Because yes, once you open up that awareness, people have new tools and the brain says, yes, no, this makes sense. When I first started doing the assessment and when we did it in the booklet, I only allowed my employees to measure 5 areas. They would see all the 20 different things that they could measure in each dimension. And they're like, Joseph, I want to measure them all. I was like, no, because we are going against the grain. If we try to measure all 20, your brain can only handle 5 at a time. So come back. And I say, now that we have technology, we have all these other things happening. We're in, AI, we're in automation and robotics. We need to remember that we are not machines. The same DNA strand that they had 150 years ago is the same DNA strand that humans have now. When there was horse and buggy, there was just a little lantern to see just where we go. That's the same DNA strand we have now. And we're frying it. We're putting too much bandwidth on this DNA strand that we have. So pace yourself. Create boundaries. Look at the 3 most important things that you can do today and do it. And at the end of the day, be grateful. Be grateful that you got to do 3 things well today.
I'm a big advocate of, if I have a meeting or something like this, my phone will be on Do Not Disturb, and it'll be in the other room, unless I'm using it for the recording, which I'm not today. But even then, it defaults to Do Not Disturb, so it's not going to bother you while you're doing it. And I think that's, for leaders, I think that's a really important practice. And for me, it's a learned behaviour from seeing someone do the opposite and feeling the impact that had on me as a follower. And it doesn't feel good if the boss is sat in a room and you're having a conversation and they're just sitting there not really listening, and you can tell they're not listening. And
so many employees complain about that, David, where I went in to talk to my boss and he was writing emails and texting, and he's like, I felt so disrespected. I mean, your employees are humans. They're people. How would you like someone to do that to you? So it's very important.